Stay hydrated, kids. Alright, well, we did it. Another year has come and gone. Time is very quickly passing by. Opportunities are slipping out of our hand as we speak. However, there has been a lot of really good music that dropped to distract us from the pains of this existence. In all seriousness, music does keep improving, I guess. I mean, you'll hear a lot of the top critics say, oh, music is improving or whatever, but with where I'm at in my music listening journey, music only really evolves with me. Music only changes as much as what I decide to listen to changes and evolves, and I get to hit a point where music has really gotten worse as I just keep getting into more and more things. In fact, this year I set a record. Last year I started a trend where I would track every single album that I listened to by ranking all of them. This year I did the exact same thing because I thought it was cool, and I have a list of 83 albums, and I enjoyed most of them. There's stuff like Quadeca's I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, JID's The Forever Story, Ty Vertus's HGTV, Vinyl Days, Hitler Wears Hermes 10 by West Side Gun, and then there's albums like Come Home the Kids Miss You, Viva Las Vengeance, and Honestly Nevermind. Yeah, we don't talk about Honestly Nevermind, but overall music this year was a blast. I found 205 songs, apparently, that I thoroughly enjoy enough to put on a playlist of my favorite songs of the year. But just making a playlist isn't enough. No. You have to put yourself through the torture of trying to rank them so you can give yourself a top 100. These are honestly just 100 songs that I liked, that I enjoyed, that dropped this year, that I kind of just felt like talking about. There's no limit to songs per album like there was last video, nothing like that. This is just a raw, unabridged top 100. And because I'm lame, I couldn't limit myself to 100, so here's some honorable mentions first. Absolutely one of the catchiest hits I've heard in a good minute. It's pretty good.
I got some funny feelings in my head and girl, I don't know what to call it.
I hated leaving this out of the top 100 because it is still my favorite Little TJ song, but I guess there were just 100 songs this year that I liked more.
Larger than life, headshots, car in the light, dead in the night. What you do?
I was distressingly underwhelmed by Melt My Eyes Deluxe, but we did get this as a very clear standout from it.
On the night I was born, the rain was pouring, God was crying, lightning struck.
J. Cole's feature run this year has been fantastic, but honestly, Johnny P's Caddy is the most underwhelming performance from the actual artist. And I love Benny the Butcher, but Cole just carries by so much that it's unfunny. It's a little tacky and very recent, but I honestly don't think I've enjoyed a Martin Garrix song more than this.
Wake up alone in an empty bed. It's quiet in the living room.
Sadly, this album as a whole has grown off me significantly, but I still like New Normal as a standout. It's just kind of a nice little acoustic vibe.
She wanna know where I've been and who I see.
Anderson .Paak's on the hook. I don't think I need to elaborate much further. Didn't want to add anything from SOS because I haven't had time to sit and really process the songs, but this emerged as a clear first listen favorite, so here it is.
I'm sensitive, I feel everything, I feel everybody.
Okay, put your pitchforks down, let me explain. So a lot of people have Mother I Sober as their song of the year, and I get it. It's one of Kendrick's most vulnerable and exposed tracks of all time. It tells a very deep, important message, and a lot of people really latch on to that. But it's just not replayable for me, like, at all. I will never go out of my way to find this. I'll listen to it when it comes on, and I'll enjoy it thoroughly, but it just feels like there's something missing sonically. I said in my last video that this song was annoying to rank because it is so important, but I just am not as crazy about it as most people are, so I kind of decided the best thing to do was not rank it at all. I guess I'll throw in the disclaimer again of, oh, this is just my opinion. Again, if you are clicking on a video of a literal child talking about music for this long or something, you know what you're getting into. You know none of this should be taken seriously. This is what I liked. what I enjoyed. It's not what you necessarily would enjoy. It's what I want you to enjoy, absolutely, but my music taste, not yours, although mine's probably better. Let's get into the list.
Steezy told me get him, so I got him.
It's similar to Mother I Sober, where it's an objectively fantastic track. It's just not the most replayable, but it is definitely better.
Your lady thirsty, don't show mercy, she too curvy, controversy.
I just find it really funny that Bag or Die is one of my favorite albums this year. It's just so fun the entire time, and this is no exception.
I swear I'm tired of these emotional ass, ungrateful ass bitches.
No, this low placement does not mean I regret putting it top 3 in my previous video. Just once the shock value of the song goes off you, so does the rest of it.
Draw the cat eyes sharp enough to kill a man.
So you know that part of the song where it says the title?
I'm a vigilante shit again.
Yeah, just those couple seconds are so insufferable that it drops the song down a lot.
One mic, one gun. My net worth like 8 figures. I'm working on getting me 9.
Because who doesn't love brass and 21 Savage outperforming Nas Fight Me?
I can see my house from here. Your eyes won't save me. Body got a body, there's a body in my Jeep.
As one could probably guess, Chaos Now is a very chaotic album. This song seems to be the one that best encapsulates that idea.
From sprinkler splashes to fireplace ashes.
This was my favorite from Midnights on first listen because it was very reminiscent of The Lucky One, which is my favorite track from the new Red, but this is worse, so that comparison just ended up hurting this song.
His karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a god.
Just don't question it.
Bitch, I can't trip about shit, cause I fall in.
This song was honorable mentions until literally like last second, so catch me later and it may be way higher on this list.
Said the beef is over, that was motherfucking cap.
We as a society may disagree on a lot, but I think we can all agree that Tory Lanez is most certainly one of the rappers of all time. The first verse of this song is just hilariously cringe, but honestly, there's a certain passion in the hook that really draws me to it.
If money is the evil root, let the smoker shine the coops.
It's grown off me a lot since first listens, but there's something about a seizure-inducing beat that's hard to not love.
Started by ignoring all the signs.
James Marriott has finally dropped his long-awaited Bitter Tongues project, and it is about as fantastic as expected. With its release, Sleeping on Trains has grown on me as a single, and yet has grown off me in contrast to some of the songs I like more on the project, so it's kinda weird to rank, but I think here works. And now, everyone's favorite part of the show, the Vinyl Day Speed Round.
What makes an MC? Let's trace his entry.
Still in the game with you, wetting fools like when the rain hits you.
Vinyl Days is a fantastic record. There's not that much more to say. These are the 3 songs that kind of ended up standing out to me the most, but the whole thing just surpassed all my expectations, and I love it.
For heaven's sake, we're missing hope.
Just like the rest of What Are We Waiting For, Broken Halos doesn't do anything groundbreaking with Christian music. It kind of just takes a lot of basic lyrical and production ideas and makes them sound the best they ever have.
You were riding your bike to the sound of It's No Big Deal.
I'm still in awe at the fact this song exists, let alone it's as good as it is.
Bitch, I'm 21, but I still walk around with fake ID.
I basically see this song as a worse version of Edamame, which is a comparison that does hurt it more than anything, but it's still a really catchy song. It gives a very nice serotonin kick every time it comes on.
You know, Kaizen, 435 days, wasted with you.
Masochist is one of those artists where I've never been too crazy about his melodic stuff. I always preferred his pipe bangers, but he kind of stopped making those in like 2019, and recently I've just been on a tear of a bunch of melodic tracks. Some of them have been violently mid, some of them are this one, and are actually quite good.
Sip on mezcal, I like tequila, damn this shit tasty.
I just love the fact that this song exists.
I was dreaming of a
It's levels, it's layers.
So to be clear, Pusha T is fantastic here, but he made My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, he made My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, he made My Beautiful Dark Twisted.
Push the fucking pack off of the porch or break a pound down.
You know you did something right when literally surround sound is in the bottom half of your album. And now, everyone's second favorite part of the show, the Heroes and Villains Speed Round.
Okay.
Ratchet bitches wanting Frenchies, not Philippe. That's the type that put me in my mood.
$2 a half, ooh, that's the cheapest one. Stacking these oranges up like coupons.
Heroes and Villains is an album that honestly I wish I liked a lot more than I do, because the production is so clean. Artists bring some of their best performances, with Superhero specifically being perhaps my favorite Future song outright. But just trap has never been a genre I particularly love. I enjoy a lot of good stuff. I enjoy these 3 songs from this album specifically, but I just don't get as much out of it as I would like to with how good I recognize it is. I mean, it's not like this next song is exactly what I considered my normal cup of tea either, but, you know. I first latched on to this song for relatability, and then I realized the lyrics are kind of extremely simple, and that made it grow off me, but honestly, sonically, and especially vocally, it's still a pretty solid pop cut.
'Cause sometimes I look in her eyes and that's where I find.
I was never sad enough this year for this song to fully click. Maybe I'm missing out on something. I don't know. I think I'm chilling, but this song is really good.
I got tricks in the bag.
Y'all are gonna be seeing so much more of this album on this list.
I see London, I see France, your girl in her underpants.
I'm convinced that only Baby No Money can take a literal playground taunt and make it one of the hardest singles of the year. Speaking of London... Speaking of London,
I'm ready to risk it, all if I lift it, bet I won't miss it, you a statistic.
as he usually does, J. Cole carries this song, but the beat and Bia herself actually are stellar here as well.
I got this shit you would light with a lighter. Fuck a lighter, I can light on the stove.
And we're still in the bottom half of the Forever Story. Did I mention how fantastic this album is?
Can't make you change.
I didn't know it was possible to have a hook this clean.
Devil doesn't bargain, he'll only break your heart again.
Let's talk about Alec Benjamin for a second. I think Let Me Down Slowly is a stellar song. It made it to my Spotify Wrapped this year because I kind of hit a phase where I listened to it 200 times in 4 days. But it's just so replayable, so well made, just a fantastic hit. Listening to all his albums, you will find similar melodic ideas, some very weird lyrical ideas, and some songs attempting to rematch the magic Let Me Down Slowly had. While I think he does have a lot of other great songs, the sheer margin by which Let Me Down Slowly is his best song is the funniest thing to me. Anyway, Devil Doesn't Bargain is no exception, but it might be the closest he's gotten. Okay, awesome. We're about a third of the way through the main list now, and it would be amazing if you would consider sharing this video with people. Like if you like, subscribe, and please don't cry, hit the bell as well, you know, whatever Fantano says at the end of his video. Stuff to boost the metrics up, because if you share this, that'd be awesome, because I'm not sure how else people will be able to see it, because copyright strikes are a nightmare when you're doing this type of stuff. And I say all that because, contrary to what I said last video, this time, I do in fact
Give a fuck about the metrics, roll up in a Beamer Bentley Lexus.
Logic finally dropped a fantastic short banger, and it ends up being my favorite from Vinyl Days. You know, I'd hate to give TikTok credit for literally anything, but
Black talk, big t-shirt, Billy. Watch on my wrist, but I want that diamond.
if this song never clicked for you, I encourage you to listen to it where you turn the volume up a little bit before you get to the drop each chorus. It is absolutely fantastic.
Hey, it's a good day to be.
Y'all still gonna see a lot more of this album.
The cat is out the bag, I am not your savior.
Sure, everyone knows and loves the Savior interlude with Baby Keem, but y'all gotta put more respect on the actual song. It's arguably Kendrick's best verses on the entire record.
Cause they smacked us in the face with that bullshit. Now I gotta focus on making my soul lit.
I've actually seen multiple people call They Draw Guns So How Can Let Erase Me the bar of the year, and I don't disagree.
In a place where we could hardly survive and barely could thrive.
Speaking of fantastic lyrics,
You used to know me, now you don't.
now this is a prime example of dance pop done correctly. Looking at you, Aubrey.
You're strong like your father.
Well, I went no, mine left. In all seriousness, Unsung Hero is a very touching tribute to the duo's parents. Kinda not the best song to make that joke about. My bad. And now, everyone's third favorite part of the show. The songs that were top 10 in my last vid, but over time kinda grew off me, or I guess you could say others tracks grew on me or something, I don't know. Speed round.
As you come out to the light.
Gracious in the fire of it.
I made it ugly in the streets, they talk computer on these records. What?
If you want more thoughts on these 3 songs, go check out my first video. Not much has changed. I don't like these songs much less. It's more that I like other songs more. These are all still in the top 15 of songs that I had in my last video, so kinda just goes to show you how this year went. And this is still bottom 5 on the album.
I'm a killer, he's a killer, she's a killer bitch.
Flow Masterclass, and for some reason Kodak Black's here.
Everybody wanna come and hang with the stars. Pinky ring chain, bling bling in the car.
I get Fantano's criticism of, oh, the instrumental is too bland and takes too long to get to the stellar verses, but the verses are indeed very stellar. It's arguably my favorite flows from Jid on the entire record, which has a lot, and Yassine Bey is still out here dropping some wildly good verses, and this song is definitely worth the wait the instrumental has.
I hope you find some peace of mind.
Yeah, randomly while listening to this song, it just all clicked. The flows, the passion, the production, the ethereal choir vocals at the beginning. This is one of the best intros all year, undeniably.
Someone else. You can hold my hand.
James's screaming vocals are certainly not for everyone, but they click just right for me. This song would be a lot higher if I actually had a better grasp of what the lyrics meant, but overall it's still fantastic.
I bet you did think about it when you let me down.
Emos I Can't Send was overall a very disappointing album, but apparently, if you throw a bunch of auto-tune on Sabrina Carpenter's voice, it actually creates a pretty good song.
I done seen some better days before.
Yeah, there's deep lyrical ideas here too, but honestly, the main appeal to this song sonically is that it proves that the ever-talented Jid can also sing.
Yeah, all the things I love are gonna leave me.
Never before has an existential crisis been more vibey. Unpopular opinion, I wasn't that crazy about Love for Rent, but this single is really good. Cole carries, of course, but Smino and production are very nice here as well. I'm so glad I like this song. I was first put on to Maggie Lindemann a couple years ago by means of Scissorhands, which is a fantastic song, and Gaslight, which is one of my least favorite songs ever. Overall, her Crash and Burn project was kind of disappointing, and while Sucker Punch as a whole wasn't necessarily that much better, this one song in particular is wild.
Gotta get it out of my system. Gotta get it off of my chest.
Sure, it's not as lyrically deep as Matilda or honestly most other X1D member songs, but it undeniably slaps.
We can be all alone. We can be.
This is one of those songs that I first latched onto for relatability, and it still sticks. Okay. Let me explain.
And I'm miles ahead. My odometer is on the verge of running out of spots for the zero.
So Crypt will always hold a special place in my heart because he's one of the first artists I got into, but over the course of this year, he's really grown off me, and The Sky is Red kind of solidified that. In direct contrast to their last collab project, When the Sky Turns Red, Crypt seems like he's trying to be taken a lot more seriously, and that really works to his detriment because it's very hard to do so. On the contrary, Joey Nato has improved by leaps and bounds. He single-handedly carries the album, making it tolerable at all, and Blackout is probably his best verse ever. There's a very strong feature, one of Crypt's most tolerable verses, and it kind of just creates a song that's way more enjoyable than it ought to be.
I gotta get up. Love this ghost town.
Very quickly became emotionally attached to this song. It's grown off me since because the production is a bit overbearing at times, but yeah.
We can fuck about it later if you want. It's all
Fun fact, the day after this song came out, I was in the top 25 listeners on Spotify, and there was someone who had done literally nothing but listen to the song since it dropped for like 24 hours. It was horrifying.
Brandon chopper never down. 30-30 in my hand.
Melodic Freddy is usually a treat, but it was something exceptional here. I feel like the song would be a little higher if it wasn't just the same verse twice, but it is an absolutely fantastic verse, so I'll let it slide.
What's up, man? What's up, man? What's up, gang? What's up, gang?
I'm convinced it's impossible to go wrong with any combination of these three acts, because between them all you have Off These, 1993, Meditate, Sacrifices, Wells Fargo, Division, Baptize, End of Days, Can't Punk Me, which we'll talk about that one later. But this song, you have all three of them together, and it is as fantastic as you'd expect it to be.
Shit heavy, but I carry it with ease. Juices in the berries with a tail like a Akeem.
Anderson .Paak. Well, hate to do this, y'all, but it's time for a sadder song.
Even if the sun drops out of the sky.
The double meaning of a relationship with God and a relationship with a spouse is very cool either way you look at it. Super touching idea, plus the nice vocals and nice instrumental make this a pretty great track. Back to vibes.
I hold you through the toughest parts when you feel like it's the end.
The Weeknd is pretty hit or miss for me. Overall, I find most of his stuff to be a little disappointing, but he also has made Call Out My Name, which is like outright my favorite hit. Dawn FM falls into that disappointment category. I loved Take My Breath, the first single, but no other song on the album really matched that caliber for me, except for this, which is like a top 5 Weeknd song. Back to Depression.
But baby, I make bad exceptions for your love.
My only complaint about HGTV as a record was with how many great hype bangers there were on it. There were also a bunch of weird melodic sad cuts that just didn't quite hit as well as the rest of the good stuff. With the exception of this track. It has a nice, slow, melodic instrumental. Vocally, it is fantastic. If the hook sounds annoying, go listen to the full song. It makes sense in context. The emotion hits like a truck, but maybe that's a me problem, and the little hard drop at the end to really wrap the song up nicely. In a weird way, the existence of this song might make the album worse because it gives all the other slow melodic cuts a standard to live up to that they simply do not.
Breathe in, breathe out. I know it hurts now.
Obviously, the immediate reaction to this song is Christian dubstep. That's weird, but then you take the time to sit down and listen to the lyrics and you realize they really click for you at a certain moment, and the song just kind of sticks with you for the rest of your life. I don't get why more people don't talk about this song. Like, in my mind, there's a very clear number one on Midnights. We'll get to that later, and most people can probably agree on that, but this is like a clear number 2 in my opinion. I don't care about your vigilante shit or anti-hero or Lavender Haze or any of that. This is top tier Taylor Swift, and more people need to be recognizing that fact.
Wanted me, I wish I knew.
I know there's a lot of talk about TikTok ruining Steve Lacy and stuff, which is horrendous, but if this song feels low, it's not because of TikTok, it's more my own doing. I kind of left this song on loop for a couple days, and I got tired of it way quicker than I expected to. It's still objectively such a great song, it just no longer really hits for me the same way it used to.
What do you have?
Bitch, you ugly as fuck. You out of pocket.
This is the song I think that ended up aging the best off Mr. Morale. I don't think that's really that big of a surprise.
Niggas know I'm the plug, now plug me in the socket.
When you put a bunch of legends on the same beat, you expect something good, but this is just something else.
Yeah, you've been acting differently ever since we bumped into your ex last week.
There's something about this track that makes it feel a lot more professional and finished than the rest of This Is What Blank feels like. It follows very similar lyrical ideas to the rest of the songs as pretty basic breakup lyric ideas, but sonically, I'm a sucker for acoustics, and this is some of the best vocals on the record. In my last video, I said this song could potentially grow on me to become number 1, and I am so disappointed that I was wrong. What ended up happening was the annoying part in the middle of the Dope House had a line ended up growing off me more than on me. The rest of the song is still fantastic, but that one part just hurts it way more than I'd like it to.
Turns into how did you sleep? Turns into it's been a week.
I of course have to give this song credit for being a gateway into one of my favorite albums of all time, but it is a fantastic single. Simple, chill, catchy, and overall pretty good.
Light me up, my little projector. Then eat me up like Hannibal Lecter.
So Spotify has this cool little playlist called Discover Weekly that has helped me discover some pretty good songs and some pretty bad songs, and some songs in genres I like never listened to that end up being extremely catchy with a pretty neat lyrical idea and a great vocalized performance. Stuff like this.
It's amazing that you care. Love me like I am.
For the longest time, I would have easily considered For King Country my favorite Christian artist of all time. Run Wild is one of my favorite albums of all time, period. Burn the Ships is another incredibly solid project. And while I'm not sure if they'll drop a project that tops those two, I don't think they have to. Love Me Like I Am takes a very simple, important Christian message, and it sounds really good. That's all For King Country really needs to continue doing. I like to think that to make this song, Quedeca was literally just thinking of what the weirdest thing he could do is. I know, let's make a song from the perspective of carbon monoxide. Let's have Danny Brown rapping that part, and let's make the song really, really good.
Women catching feelings, say they wanna have my children. Popping for the weekend and I'm bouncing off the ceiling.
I just think it's funny that in a song with the person who made this album, who made this album, and who made this masterpiece, it is Kid Cudi that ends up single-handedly carrying the song. Speaking of big posse cut collaborations that work unexpectedly well.
Yeah, while y'all was suffering from future shock, hurting and hating, waiting for that other shoe to drop.
One of my favorite first listen experiences this year was Cheat Codes, and most of that can be credited to this song. Strangers features a very clean, catchy beat, and what I believe are 4 of the finest hip-hop verses you will ever hear.
I never gave that much a fuck about this shit to let it challenge my integrity. But you questioning me got me thinking you thinking less of me.
I think it's fair to say the reason this song stands out is because it tells an interesting story and it's 6 minutes long. However, I'd also like to argue it is one of the best beats on the Forever Story, which that combined with the flows and storytelling make this one of the shortest feeling 6-minute songs I know.
I would've stayed on my knees, and I damn sure never would've danced with the devil.
It's like if the fan favorite All Too Well combined with the fan favorite Dear John, and it's better than both of them.
Straight up. Cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out.
I think 21 said it best.
Pharrell made this, so it's $1 million. Straight up.
This really does feel like a Pharrell song just because the beat is the main thing that carries it. It just so happens that 21 Savage drops one of his best verses of all time over it, and then Tyler the Creator comes in and tops even that because he's Tyler the Creator.
I saw you faking a smile, taking happiness down, loving yourself from the floor.
Need to Breathe has had themselves a very prolific decade. In 2020, they dropped Out of Body, which is my favorite album from that year. In 2021, they dropped Into the Mystery, which is a fantastic album that features probably my favorite Christian song of all time in the form of Carry Me. In 2022, they decided to take a step back and not do much except drop literally one of the hardest bangers they ever have, because this band doesn't know when to stop improving. Oh boy. So it's time for this song again. I like to claim that I have this big advanced music taste, but then a song like this comes along where when I have to explain why I like it, all I can say is it's incredibly catchy. Waterparks has had meanings to songs before. 2019's Fandom is arguably kind of a concept album with a lot of different neat ideas throughout. 2021's Greatest Hits, she's the band going into a lot more of a experimental type vibe. And then in the album rollout process for Intellectual Property, you can see they're kind of just going back to basic pop bangers, and it's working. If you don't know this song, I encourage you to go listen to it right now. If you do know this song, you may think it feels low. Let me explain. Fantasy World, I don't think it's overhyped as one of the best songs, so I didn't mean to haunt you, but personally, I just don't think the drop is worth the 3-minute wait. It's good, obviously, good enough to be a top 20 song of the year, but I've never agreed with this song being in discussions for the best from the album.
Now we fighting in the sweet, it's like 10 to get 23. I was 17, swinging on any and everything, bing, bing.
I had a top 5 for a while. I've seen a lot of people have this as nearly song of the year, and I get it. The flows in the first 2 verses are very slick, the story tells at the end is nice, that plus the beat all tell this really neat story. But The Forever Story is just such a good album. The more I listened to this song, the less I got out of it compared to other songs from the album and just other songs this year as a whole.
I got 2 sugars, can't stop thinking about you, sugar.
There's actually a decent argument to be made for 2 Sugars being my song of the year. It perfectly encapsulates why I enjoy HGTV. It's an album filled with hype bangers, great vocals, great energy, great melodies, great production, and in 2 Sugars you get all of that, plus a crap ton of intensity, and it truly creates a perfect song. Unfortunately, it's not even the best on the record.
Yeah, you motherfuckers, y'all couldn't even do half this. I can't even look, when I do it's just tragic.
I think this is outright my favorite introduction of all time. It perfectly sets the stage for a great album with that grand brass instrumental and some of the slickest flows on the record. As a song itself, all those things apply to make this such a vibe, but its perfection as an intro definitely helps it.
Anyway, my actual, best song of the year is obviously
Celebrate new life when they come back around.
This is my current song of the year by such a huge margin, and I'd really be shocked if anything later tops it. So...
Celebrate new life when they come back around. The purpose is in the lessons we learning now.
Don't get me wrong, I still love the Heart Part 5, I just also now love 11 songs from this year more than it. The Heart Part 5 is still fantastic between its meaning, its production, Kendrick's flows. As I stated in my previous video, it's so impressive how this song is so good, and it's kind of just a norm for Kendrick at this rate, but it didn't stick with me as much as I would have liked it to throughout the entirety of the year. I'm still very glad it exists. It's still better than the entirety of Mr. Morale, so there's that. This one hurts to leave out of the top 10, but in a weird way, I think Tell Me a Joke is just a little too safe. It doesn't have the same just ethereal randomness a lot of the album has. It actually has like a set song structure, which makes it very catchy and makes it a fantastic single choice. It means a lot of people love it as like their favorite from the album, and I get that. It's a very catchy, very well made, but it's just not as intense as the rest of the album, and for that it falls a little bit short. And here we are, the top 10. These songs actually do end up having some form of significance. Maybe. Honestly, for most of them, it's just that they sound good, but there's enough times in quality where it's really close, and when that happened, I kind of just let importance overtake as a primary factor in what songs got in the top 10, what songs didn't, how they're ordered within it. But yeah, this is a really good list. These are 10 songs that I thoroughly enjoy and I think are absolutely flawless in most aspects, or at least enough that they justify such a high ranking. Starting off, we have one of the hypest bangers of the year.
This shit is real, real killer, be killed, no model citizens. It's been stiller with the blue steel.
This song has my top 2 features off the Forever Story, and arguably my feature of the year in the form of Dr. Dot's verse, which is just really funny to me that my least favorite EarthGang member has one of my favorite verses on one of my favorite albums this year. Yeah, as I said earlier in this video, it is very hard to go wrong with the combination of Jid and EarthGang. Jid is an artist that has always kind of been defined and set apart by just his flow skill and his voice. EarthGang has been a group set apart by their voices, and they have the flow skill to match, and all 3 of those artists come together on this glorious masterpiece of just flows and melodies, and it is about as heavenly as you'd expect. There is very little in this world that gets me more hype than this song. Oh, what's that? Annalie Chapa has been one of my favorite artists for a bit, which is very challenging because of how inconsistent he is. Overall, I think his albums just keep getting worse, but every once in a while he will have like a fluke of a single. In the case of his recent album Me vs. Me, that fluke of a single was Chicago to Memphis, which was actually a pretty good song, while the rest of the album was just violently mid. It's a song that showed that if Annalie Chapa really tries, he can be really good. Following that album, Annalie decided to switch past a little bit and get more into drill. In the UK was the first song where you could kind of tell that there might be something happening with this. Annalie has finally found a niche that works for him. Then after experimenting with a bunch of other drill-like sounds for a bit, he landed on what I guess is called Jersey Club, and we got Do It Again. The song's mainstream success can mostly be attributed to TikTok challenges, but it makes sense. It's a song you simply want to move to. There's a great beat, and Elise like is closing forever. There's a feature that's not even that good, it just doesn't ruin the vibe of the song, and that vibe is what makes this a top 10 song of the year. I've said it so many times throughout this video, and I will say it again. I hate to give TikTok credit for anything. It is a bad platform with bad trends, with bad music, but it just so happened that this year they fluked on helping so many fantastic singles roll up, so now everyone's gonna give them credit and start liking the app again, and I hate. One of my biggest praises of This Is What Blank Feels Like was, haha, guess what guys, Golden Hour wasn't a fluke. But the more I sit down and listen to Golden Hour, the more I realize that this is by far the best thing this man has ever created. Between the piano melodies, the sweet vocals, and the glorious drop at the end to wrap it all up, this feels like a big TikTok hit you want to find a reason to dislike, but there is no reason to dislike this song. It's short, sweet, and flawless. At my number 7, we have a song that I am still very frustrated isn't in my Spotify Wrapped Top 5. It's my number 6, and it's only there because my number 4 was a song that I left on loop all night because I didn't realize AirPods had such a fantastic battery life, and I listened to it 150 times in one night, and it ends up haunting my Spotify Wrapped the entire year. I'm still very mad about that, and I kind of wanted to put this song top 5 because it'd be almost poetic in a sense, but I, in good faith, couldn't quite say it's better than all but 4 songs, when in fact I think there are 6 songs that are overall better than it. Yeah, it's still really good though.
Nigga said that I can't, damn lie, ain't dapping no hand, sanitize, don't slide on your man, landslide, there's a 9 in my pants, handcuff.
These aggressive bangers are just where Jid thrives, because he relies a lot on his rapping talent, and it really gets a chance to show here. The little aggressive chorus is a super nice touch, the production is cool, Kenny Mason is a great addition, and really, it is just the flows on this song that make it as good as it is. The second verse is absolutely stellar, and then going into that hard aggressive chorus again is just a near perfect musical moment, and there's just a reason why I looped this song as much as I did. You ever had a song make you levitate before?
Oh, I know how to levitate up off my feet.
No, not that one. Actually not that one either. No, I'm talking about when a song really takes you on an out-of-body experience. Like, it feels like it shouldn't have been made in this dimension, so it takes you to a different one, and it's such a surreal feeling. You see people talk about it all the time, but trust me, you know when it happens with a song. It happened to me with this one on multiple different occasions.
Those words don't do you justice.
Fractions of Infinity includes these glorious little slow verses and then some ethereal choir-like vocals from Quedeca into a absolutely stellar chorus that kind of just matches the vibe the rest of I Didn't Mean to Haunt You had at this point. And then you get into the bridge, and this is where things really start to pick up. The production gets more and more intense, Quedeca's voice starts to sound very desperate, which is appropriate for the theme of this song, and then after this entire glorious bridge, you have literally the Sunday service choir just singing, and it's pretty much as heavenly as you'd expect it to be. Crossing genres isn't always easy. If you want proof of this claim, just look at MGK. He started off as a somewhat decent rapper, and then transitioned to be a awful pop-punk artist. But the same guy who used to make KSI diss tracks is now making some of the best whatever genre this is songs of all time. So maybe it's not that hard. Maybe MGK is just bad. This song's fantastic though. On first listens of I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, this song is kind of the one that obviously immediately stands out. Like the rest of the album, this song has a bunch of layers to it, but most times those layers are used to create these super chill vibes. But Knots is a song that feels like it could just kill you. I've always been partial to banger Quedeca. Beaming and Schoenberg are some of my favorite singles from him, Work was one of my favorites from Me to You, and while I kind of glad he's not just making bangers anymore. He is showing that every time he does, they just keep getting better and better. And at number 4, we have kind of a deep cut. Like, this isn't a song that really was made popular or blew up. This is a song that, in fact, a lot of people really dissed because they just preferred the original so much more. But I first realized how good this song was, like, a couple months ago. But then over the process of editing this video, I realized it's fantastic. It's undeniably a top 5 song of the year. It's better than its original, I don't care what you say. And of course, I am talking about...
Fuck it, I'm sick as fucking, I told you motherfuckers no recovery, kicking nothing, I'm coughing and spitting legitimate love.
Despite this not being the intended outro to the Forever Story, for a lot of people, this was their outro to it when they first listened. And honestly, it does a pretty good job of this, because this may be an absolutely wild stretch, but I think it's fair to almost argue Lauder 2 as Jid's magnum opus. It takes one of his most well-known songs amongst the community, takes a title from it and more inspiration from it, drops some of his best verses to date as far as flow on, and then you have this ethereal singing going on in between all of it, and the entire experience is just heavenly. This song kind of got lucky with clicking at the right time, or more specifically, like, the singing parts in the middle making sense. I already love the verses, and with all that, I can pretty confidently say this is my favorite from Forever Story, this is my favorite from Jid, and it's a easy top 5 song of the year. My top 3 are pretty set. I mean, these are all songs that, depending on what I'm feeling at any given moment, could potentially be my song of the year. Each of them, you could argue, is my song of the year for different meanings on different levels of importance or whatnot. But I'm pretty confident with this ranking overall. These are definitely the 3 best songs of the year. They're quite possibly the 3 best songs of the decade. And for now, I like where I place them, but honestly, we will see if that changes. Starting off at number 3, it's always good to start off with a little bit of Jesus. Yes, you read that right. It is this Chris Brown, not that Chris Brown, this Chris Brown. I first heard Lion in December Church Camp being performed by this guy, who I known at that point had some of my favorite worship performances of all time. So when he performed Lion, I was blown away, and I went and listened to the actual Lion, and it was the very rare case of worship music where I think Lion, the original song, was actually better than the live performance, which is very impressive. It's just very aggressive in all the best ways possible. And then I discovered Lion live from the Loft, which manages to keep the same intensity as the original Lion, while also being the charm of a live worship service. It is very close between the two. Lion is a little more hard. This one's more charming. I ultimately went with the live version as the one I'd picked ranked. Both are fantastic. Lyrically, they're extremely simple, which is why they're not, like, way, way higher. But way too often, Christian music is solely reliant on lyrics. Lion is just reliant on being a banger, and it is a fantastic standout for that. At my number 2 spot, we have my most listened song this year out of songs that dropped this year by a huge margin. I think second is, like, Funeral Grey at 170, and I listened to this song like 380 times. It's such a good song, and it's all because of one line in the first verse that really, really drew me to it.
Today's the day that you'll all see, but you wish you kept me now. Where has everyone gone? Was I really not good enough?
Where Has Everyone Gone didn't click for me on the first listen. There were songs from Bitter Tongues I liked more, but when re-listening to this song, I caught the line. Today is the day that you'll all see, bet you wish you kept me now. 2022 served as kind of a year of self-growth for me, and whether it's healthy or not, my motto for the year kind of ended up being, bet you wish you kept me now. Obviously, that lyrical importance is what placed this song so high, but sonically, this song's something else too. This really feels like an improvement on James Marriott's first real song, Him, with the same idea of a nice guitar riff under a very hard beat, but the production is a little harder, the riffs are a little cleaner, the vocals are a lot better, the passion in the vocals especially. That second half of the chorus where he says, and one day you'll be gone, was there anyone good enough for you? Like, come on, man. Lyrical importance aside, this is my favorite song from one of my favorite artists. And for that, it deserves to be so high. If only this song was released in a different year. So my song of the year. It's not that close. I really sat and thought about it and debated other songs being placed above it or not. It's by a fairly large margin my song of the year. It's almost uncontested my song of the decade. Is it my favorite song of all time? Probably not, but there is something about it that just makes it stand out so much. All the other songs have been important to me for reasons. Lion was important because of a spiritual meaning. Where Has Everyone Gone was important because of a certain lyric. Both of these songs sound good. They sound good enough to justify being so high. But sonically, there is one song this year that I think blows everything else out of the water. Conceptually, there is one song this year that I think blows everything else out of the water. Many of you watching this know me, and you probably already know what this song is. If you don't, trust me, you're in for a special treat.
I wasn't born yesterday. I think you're goddamn lying.
The concept of the song of a dead son talking to his coping mother is heart-wrenching, but it's sonically that the song really stands out. And to be honest, I'm not too sure how to describe it. So instead, I'm just going to let the copyright gods strike me down as I just play you 40 seconds of it. And then after those glorious moments of chaos, you are sent straight into this tearjerker of a section.
Just a little doubt.
And then this part keeps building up in intensity as you get to the end where it says, every little thing I did to make you proud. And you're there either crying or questioning your life as the song just slowly fades away into nothing. I think Fantano said it best about how there is no way that this song was produced and conceived in the same dimension we are living in. Born Yesterday is more of a full experience than just a song, and for that it is commanding and deserving of Song of the Year. Let me tell you, if all the ideas that I have planned in my head at the time of recording these clips, if they pan out into this video, this is the finest piece of work I have ever created. I've spent so long working on this video. I hope so much thought has gone into it, into the list, the rankings. It's been a long process, but it's been a fun process. It's a process I'll always enjoy, making stuff like this. Yeah. I mean, I've gotten into other things recently. I've gotten into GeoGuessr. There's a cubing competition with these things later this month. But yeah, maybe you'll see more clips of that up on this channel, but I hope to keep making stuff like this. I enjoy this. It takes a lot of effort, and I can only do it when I don't have school interrupting everything. But yeah, these are fun videos to make. I hope you enjoyed the list. Hope you enjoyed the content. Yeah. I don't know how to do outros. Outros are really hard.